Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Cormor Productions, here to do another rewatch video of Quantum Leap, Season 2, Episode 17, titled Good Night, Dear Heart. The episode's description reads as follows. Sam leaps into a corner who must play detective and prove that a female victim was murdered. The episode was directed by Christopher T. Welch, who last directed Her Charm from a couple episodes back in this season. The episode was written by Donald P. Belzerio and Paul Brown. It originally aired on March 7th, 1990, and takes place on November 9th, 1957. Before going any further, I will tell you a couple of things. 1. This is not a spoiler-free video, so if you haven't watched this episode, please go and check it out, and then watch my video, though the spoilers for this one will be light, for reasons that I will get to in a moment. Secondly, if you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to my channel. Okay, I didn't like this episode as a kid. I didn't like this episode when it came out on the DVDs, and I don't like it now. It's not a bad episode. It's not an episode without merit. It's just something that I don't particularly enjoy. It's not on the level of A Portrait for Troyan. It's just something that I don't really feel like it belongs on this show. It doesn't feel like a Quantum Leap episode to me. And for the creators, I'm sure that was their intention, that they wanted to do something a little off-brand, a little bit different, something poetic. And there are plenty of people who enjoy this episode, thinking it's beautiful and deep and haunting. But for me, it's just not my cup of tea. I'm not going to take this one scene by scene. I don't feel like I have enough interesting things to say about this episode to really make that worth your time or mine. One of the defenders of this episode is actually the writer of owlsplace.com. He writes, "This is one of the most dramatic and touching episodes of Quantum Leap and sits highly on my own personal rankings. It plays out like a murder mystery, with Sam trying to discover if Hilla committed suicide or was murdered by any number of people she knew the best. Scott and Dean, as usual, exhibit their excellent acting abilities in this episode. And by the way, yes, the performances in this episode, particularly from Scott Bakula, are pretty excellent. That is not the issue for me. Guest starring in this episode is W.K. Stratton, who we last saw as an actor in the first ever episode of Quantum Leap, titled Genesis. And we will see him again in Season 5 during the trilogy episodes. Also guest starring in this episode is Marcia Cross, who was known as a series regular on Desperate Housewives, as well as appearing in the show Everwood, which only aired for 89 episodes, and recently in the Netflix series You. All in all, she has 70 credits to her name. Robert Duncan McNeil also guest stars in this episode, and he's most famous for having played Tom Paris on Star Trek Voyager. He made his first Star Trek appearance in Star Trek The Next Generation as a completely different, though similar character. He recently reprised the role of Tom Paris in the animated Star Trek series Star Trek Lower Decks. These days, he's actually more of a director, having 49 directorial credits, including an episode of A Million Little Things, which is a series somewhat similar to This Is Us, which I regularly cover, 3 episodes of The Gifted, The Orville, which is a show that kind of apes Star Trek The Next Generation, and 2 episodes of Blue Bloods. Alright, so getting into what exactly my problem is with this episode, what it boils down to for me is that I just can't get past the premise of this episode. We are traveling through time. So why are we picking this moment to arrive? Why are we solving this girl's murder, or rather proving that it's not just a suicide, rather than saving this girl's life in the first place, preventing it from ever happening, as we've done so many times throughout the series? What about this girl makes her not worth saving? If this were a Twin Peaks-like series, or if this were a police procedural, or some other type of series, I could see this story working for me, but not as a Quantum Leap episode. Now, you can take my logic here for why I don't like this episode and apply it to something like Thou Shalt Not, an early episode this season, which featured a family suffering from grief and Sam having to help heal those wounds. Now, why do I like that episode, which I very much did, I thought it was an excellent episode, over something like this? How can I accept that we're not saving that kid's life in that episode, and instead dealing with the aftermath, where I can't do so here. And that's a legitimate argument, and I totally hear you, if that's a point that you want to make against me. And I think for me, what it comes down to is, I overall enjoyed the story that they were telling there, more so than I do here. I appreciated the acting a lot more than I do here. So I think for me, it comes down to the story, whether I will accept this or not. And for me, this episode just wasn't strong enough for me to do so, for me to accept this. Quite frankly, this episode just kind of bores me when it comes down to it. Now, if you're like the writer of AlicePlace.com, who very much enjoyed this episode, who liked the murder mystery aspect of it, who found it haunting and beautiful, if you're in that camp, I'm certainly not going to judge you for it. Just as I hope you won't judge me for my opinion. Though, let's be real here, some people are definitely going to. If we all thought the same, life would be boring. So I'm glad you have a different take on this episode than I do. I won't go as far as to say that this is a bad episode, it just isn't one that I happen to enjoy. Anyway, that's all I got for you for this video. I'm going to try to make sure that this doesn't take as long to get my next Quantum Leap video out. Part of it is the fact that, yes, I've been covering This Is Us as it's been happening, the new episodes. We only got about 8 more episodes there till the series concludes. The other part of it is I've just been having a really tough time so far this year, mental health-wise, though I seem to be coming out of that a little bit. So hopefully it won't be as long till the next time we do another one of these Quantum Leap rewatch videos. If you like this video and want to support the channel, you can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join my Corman Productions Facebook page. You can buy something from the Corman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy, which is a new way to support content creators such as myself. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to my channel. This is Dave from Corman Productions, signing off.